Greetings! You're watching Septum Sen versus the World. I'm Septum Sen. I'm here with Kotobuki Jake.
Hi.
And we are here to show you what we got.
We got some... Well, I got some fun stuff this week.
I've got some
interesting
fun stuff this week. I only really have one new pickup in this particular list from me, but I wanted to make a theme.
Mm-hmm.
And your stuff looks even more cool, so I think we should start with yours because I want to see what that what this all is all about. So you start us off with yours.
Well, I have a partial theme, but it's really two items. The first is I went to Best Buy the other day and got two things, and the other is from Christmas. There's a small mini theme from my Christmas pickups. Again, I'm going to be working through those probably a little while longer. But the first one, he's not the only one who picks up steelbooks. I don't collect them as obsessively, but every once in a while, I'll find one for a really good price. And this time, I happened to find a good price on a movie I really had to get. I've talked about my top 40 pickups that I've been working on, and I believe this was, 2014?
Yeah.
There were two in my top 5 that I was missing. I'm still missing The Imitation Game, and I need to get it.
Yeah.
But I now have Whiplash on Steelbook, which seems appropriate since they have a symbol on the front, And I mean, the main character is a drummer, so, that makes sense. This, for those of you not seen it, is a film by Damien Chazelle that's based on his short film, which is included, which is cool. I've never seen the short film, so I'm looking forward to that. He, of course, would go on to do La La Land. Yeah. But this movie won a very well-deserved and overdue Oscar for J.K. Simmons, who is awesome. But in this movie, he's really awesome. He is a jazz aficionado / teacher who is so obsessed with jazz that he doesn't really think all that much about teaching so much as tormenting his students into either being brilliant or giving up. And Miles Teller plays the main student who puts up with it for the course of the movie. It also has a fine supporting performance by Melissa Benoist. So you have a really solid cast. The movie is hard to watch. There are scenes that approach torture, and I don't like torture. But that is how intense Simmons' teaching style is.
Very intense.
But it's an intense movie, but it's good. And especially if you have any appreciation for music and for the music craft, this is a must-watch. So, yeah.
You might want to take a Xanax before throwing that in. So, in mine, I got one particular pickup which had led me to say, you know what, I'm going to just do a dedication. I don't have many of these, and it's about bootlegs. There are many people's ideas as to when to bootleg or should you bootleg. Is all bootlegging basically stealing? And in a sense it is. But are there reasons to get a bootleg? I actually believe that there are. And that is why I have some in my collection. And you'll actually get to see all of them. I'm just putting them in categories. But I'm going to start with what started it off.
Doing that, I could have brought more than 5 items.
Well, I just came up with it, so...
Oh well.
So, it's going to be 5 categories at the end, so... The one that really started it, which is the one new pickup, is the Fantastic Four, which is the Roger Corman release of Fantastic Four.
Widely renowned as the greatest comic book feature ever made.
Now, this is in a class of bootleg that is in the we're refusing to release this film. The studio will not release this film on physical media. The only way to get it is by fan-made bootlegs, which many people believe that the original bootleg came from within. looking to see if I have another one up there.
I could have sworn you had another one that fit. Doesn't this one fit that theme?
Actually, yes, it does. Yes, it does.
We did.
Thank you for the thought. So, but this one I'm going to talk a little bit about because it is the one new pickup. This one was Roger Corman's adaptation of Fantastic Four. To me, the best adaptation of Fantastic Four so far put the film.
Because Fox has set the bar so high.
It should make you very sad. It's the best it's the best depiction of Doctor Doom. And we're going to try and watch this tonight, so you're going to get to actually see whether Kotobuki Jake agrees or not.
I will say this. I don't think I've seen Rise of the Silver Surfer, but I've seen the original, the 2001 Fantastic Four, and the one from, I think it was 2015.
I have not seen
The first one did a cruddy job with Doom, and the second one sucked. Now, when they came to the actual main characters, the Fantastic Four themselves, they've done better, but they still haven't fully hit the mark. But Doom was, I can't wait to see a good Doom.
So those are usually done DVR. You don't really see very professional.
Mm-hmm.
And this next one is similar, Song of the South. Now this is a very well professionally done bootleg. Mm-hmm. And you'll see a couple of those in this. It actually has some bonus features, but it has basically been effectively banned here because, well, racial stereotyping. And yet we get a re-release of Birth of a Nation.
Yes.
So,
but this is an Oscar
winner.
The House of Mouse, and the House of Mouse has the power to rewrite history.
Yes. No, we were never racist.
Shut us down.
So, this last one that Kotobuki Jake found was something I did keep. I got rid of the other half of that collection because I got the real version of it. Mm-hmm. But this is The Brave, which is Johnny Depp's only director credit and I believe only writing credit.
I think so.
He wrote, directed, and starred in this, but he was so disappointed in the performance, he would not allow an official release.
It was the reception he didn't like, wasn't it? Like, he didn't like the reception the film got. Yeah.
And that's kind of sad. This is a Chinese bootleg, fairly common bootleg. And it's just kind of sad. It's also Marlon Brando's last performance.
No, not the last, but it is the second time the two of them were together.
It was close to the end.
It was near the end. And most people don't even know of that when they think of Marlon Brando performances. It was an interesting performance.
That's one category done. Yeah. And that's categories of movies that they refuse to do a real physical release.
Right. Which for the longest time, only yesterday an Ocean Waves fell into that category because Disney didn't want to touch them. They finally let G-Kids do the work for them.
And my bootlegs are now legit.
Yeah. Well,
shows you companies, if those things get legit releases, I will be the first to burn these if I need to, and I will get the
I will purchase The Brave if there is a legit release. And probably Fantastic Four.
It was a decent but weird film. But you go ahead and...
Okay, and the weird thing, you're talking about Disney wanting to bury Song of the South. The weird thing is, I think everyone in our generation grew up with Zip Dee Doo Dah. They know that song. It's kind of
sad. Yeah. Really.
But anyway, speaking of the Mouse House, I have a film from them that I grew up with, more or less. I mean, it was around when I was in my older childhood years. And I have been wanting it for a long time and just never got around to it. And when I was at Best Buy the other day, I saw it in the $4 bin, and I was like, it's about time. So I finally got Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
It is a good one.
Great Rick Moranis film. It's not high art, But it's definitely a fun movie, and it's definitely better than some of the sequels that came after. I don't know. I saw all the sequels. I think I saw We Blew Up the Baby.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw We Shrunk Ourselves.
You're not missing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a fun movie. Unfortunately, Mr. Moranis has fully retired. In interviews, he has stated that he's done with movies. But for a little minute there, he was definitely putting out classics. And
yeah, he was a good,
it
was a very well liked actor.
Mm-hmm.
This next category is a category that I do not recommend anybody get a bootleg for. 99% of these examples are gone from my collection. It was back when I was poor, I wanted something, I got it. This one is a little bit different because it was bought at a legit store, but they were selling bootleg discs. And this had me stop going once I figured it out. So these were more purchased by accident. And that I've got here, my two One-Chanbara ones. They're actually fairly easily available. And I do plan on getting it. There's actually a copy. Matter of fact, I'm going to run to grab that. So I'm going to have it magically appear. And so I'm back. And this is...
Oh, where'd it come from?
20th Century Boys. Which is really funny when you think about it, is because I've got the other two parts and they are the legit releases. But again, bought it from the same store. Mm-hmm. They're since closed. Good, because they're bootleggers and they're pirates, and not the kind of pirates that you can enjoy on your TV. But they have stuff that you can enjoy on the TV. So these are the last that are really up for near immediate replacement. As soon as I get a decent deal on it, these are going bye-bye. This I'm thinking about watching first because it looks terrible, and I'm not sure if I want the legit copies in my collection, and may just end up getting.
If you're going to destroy them anyway, you might as well watch them first.
Yeah, that's the idea. So that's the second class of them.
And incidentally, I'll interject here that I have one bootleg in my collection that I purchased by mistake from a reputable store.
It happens that way.
I accidentally bought a bootleg copy of Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue, which is a phenomenal film that is out of print and needs a re-release.
Oh, especially on Blu-ray.
Open letter to somebody here. We need a re-release of Perfect Blue. But because I accidentally bought a bootleg and it's out of print, I'm kind of stuck. There is a legit American release, if I'm not mistaken, but and, it's hard to get.
I'm going to get to that category
We
soon.
really need a re-release there. And I've got a couple that people have given me that I have a hard time destroying DVDs because it's a waste of plastic.
Yeah. It's
a waste. I hate waste. I really hate waste. But I also don't want to promote a system that is not, So, anyway, my last three most assuredly are not bootlegs, and I paid enough to be sure. But I think I may have mentioned before, I've definitely indicated that I like limited edition sets, and I think I've mentioned before that Funimation, I like the quality of their sets. They're not nearly as fancy as Sentai or NIS or some of those, but they're nice, solid, relatively affordable sets for a limited edition, and frankly, you get as much as you normally would with Aniplex in most cases. Much better sets.
Solid boxes, if anything.
The theme, and pretty boxes. But the theme that I have going on here is that in the big holiday sale that Right Stuff did, a handful of Funimation limited sets were actually pretty cheap. I don't remember the exact prices, but I think I paid about $25 per each of these volumes, which is pretty good for a limited edition.
Is good for that.
The first one is a series that does not have a high rating. It's not.
It's actually got a little bit of a reputation.
It's got a little. I got a couple of them here that have a reputation. I have two that have a reputation and one that should be fairly quality. But this one supposedly is not the best, but it looks fun, and I got a nice, pretty set for it, and it's Arya the Scarlet Ammo. And
Yeah.
there's a nice,
It's-
nice little solid box. You got your two collection DVD Blu-ray combo set. Arya, I believe, is voiced by Rie Kugamiya, and if I remember correctly, it's that typical tsundere character that she has almost cornered the market on. It's supposedly not a solid show. It says from the director of Slayers, Shakugan no Shana, and Ikitosen. And supposedly it's much closer to Ikitosen than it is to the other two. Although I think thematically it's supposed to be similar to Shana in a lot of ways.
Well,
I don't know. I look forward to seeing this one of these days.
looks like Shauna. Huh?
This is one that I can say categorically I bought it because of the price. I would not have paid full price for this series, but it's really hard to pass up one of these sets at 24, 25, whatever it was. I think this one may have been a little bit less. It may have been like 22 or something. But finally got it in the collection, so one of these days I'll find out what the buzz, if you could call it that, is about.
So, usually in my, when I look at bootlegging, there's actually a couple of basic categories that have been made, and what you've seen, at least in the second category, is Chinese bootlegging, which I don't support much at all, because Chinese bootlegging does go to the wrong people. Not China, but, necessarily, but usually it goes to fund criminals, drugs, and all that stuff. So this is why I try and stay away from it. A lot of regular Blu-rays, a lot of regular bootlegs that tend to be in that way, especially the ones that you might buy off like a table at New York, or maybe one of those shops. They usually do utilize those proceeds funding terrorism, funding
You're talking about
drugs
that place in
and-
the mall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So be wary when you buy these, or if you buy these at all. Sometimes you buy them by accident, like I did for those three. Sometimes you buy them on purpose, and there are very few times I buy a Chinese bootleg on purpose these days. In the early days I did, because sometimes it was the only way I could access an anime cheaply.
I think that's how you
Or at
got
all.
5 centimeters per second, wasn't it?
Yep, that was
When
how
that
I got
when that movie was consistently running like
75.
75, 90, 100 for a 90-minute anthology film.
And that was when I was making like less than 20 a year, and there was no way I could justify a $75 expense.
But now you got the official release.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or one of the.
One of them. Yeah.
So part of this is going to be two different circumstances, but they are typical Japanese bootlegs. And you can see some similarities. Now, these are the Sailor Moon Season 1 and 2 sets that I have. Now, I do have legit sets for these, but I do not have the legit sets for the original English dub. I've actually used to have more. I actually also have one more of these for the Sailor Moon, which is the Sailor Stars collection, which I have here.
Which is the official pre-order up
Not
now
yet.
for Super S?
Super
or is
S, yes.
Super S.
So this one will eventually come out legit, and it will be gotten rid of. It's the only available way to see the anime on physical media, however, currently.
Until Viz puts it out. But Viz is working their way through the whole catalog.
And I don't recommend this one to many people unless you really desperately need it. I would just patiently wait at this point. When I had originally gotten this, there was no hint that Sailor Moon would ever get another re-release.
Yeah.
And
Which is weird.
we're such a prudish country, we could not possibly release this. So, I mean, as you can see, they do pretty decent with the artwork, and you can see on here, it's typical stuff. But on the back, you can see, typically, you'll see that it's an all-region, or that they have mostly Chinese characters at the bottom, which is how you can usually tell a Chinese bootleg. Now, sometimes you can get a hold of a series like Sailor Moon, and sometimes you cannot get a hold of one like this, or the likelihood is they will never have it come to the United States, like Kamikaze Kaito Jin. This is one of the few bootlegs. Actually, most of the ones that I do have, with the exception of some of the just like a couple like the last three I showed you, I'm actually proud to have them, and will keep owning them. If they ever bring it to the United States, I will change my mind. But as you can see, they usually do a pretty good job of the artwork inside.
So, open letter to anyone who's in a position to affect what anime come out.
Yeah.
Kamikaze Kaito-jan is a good option.
And the manga's out here.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the complete manga back there, and
Arina Tainamura, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really sad because I believe I would eagerly buy most of those. If I ever can find a whole set, I will eventually replace the Sailor Moon English dub, the old English dub, because I've got the originals of everything else on it. It's just, for some reason, ADV, when they released it, they did not have the rights to that English dub. So I do have the originals of those.
I know what you mean but for some reason, when you said that, I suddenly got a flash of them dubbing it in Old English.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I would love to see that.
But
Okay. Okay. Now, as he just said, yeah, we're such a prudish country that somehow shows like this get released. Okay, this one is, I believe I've actually seen the first episode of each of these two series. I've not seen any episodes of Haria. There was a show that came out a few years back that was the vanguard of what has become a franchise, both of anime and video games. The video games are quite risque video games from what I understand. And this is a somewhat notorious series, but from what I've seen, it's fun, and I've been wanting to see it. And I now have the first season of Senran Kagura Ninja Flash. And once again, they say, from the creators of Ikitosen and Freezing.
Yes.
Yes, so that gives you an idea there.
Great pedigree there.
Good pedigree. But basically, I think there's 2 or 3 seasons of this anime.
I have
So
I'll
I'll have to get more eventually.
Does it say 2 on the top?
No, this is...
No, okay, no, it doesn't. Okay.
No,
That's
this
an
is
S.
just the first season.
I'm looking at it through the camera, and it looks like a 2 because it's upside down.
But again, this is once again I probably would not have paid anywhere close to full price for this, but I did not pay a lot. I think it was $25. And I was interested in adding this to the collection. And it's a nice, neat-looking box set, you know? So, yeah. This is it's a very much a shonen series. Lots of fighting and fan service and boobies.
Oh, my.
And that from what I understand, that sums up the show right there. But kind of like Ikitosen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll see this one of these days. But again, it's kind of nice to finally add. Neither one of these is a high quality show, but it's always nice to have those pretty little box sets.
So now I was talking about another category, and this category does also fall into the very first category of fan-made releases, which tends to... many of these are not released for profit. These are released by fans, for fans, because we want to keep the thing going on series that are either incomplete or unlikely to ever see release because of, reasons. So I've got 3 here. I've actually covered 2 of them on this channel before. Matter of fact, 2 of them have gotten reviews on this channel. So the first, and they're all Nick shows. No, not the last one. That would have been interesting if the last one was a Nickelodeon show. But first you start with You Can't Do That on Television, which was done as Nick's version answer to Saturday Night Live, which unfortunately meant that there was music in it, which meant that they had to license, and
how
that
dare there
wasn't
be
going
music?
to, that wasn't going to warrant a release. This is a spool release. The visual quality is kind of crappy, but it was a fan who decided that, this needed to be done. So they ended up putting this together cheaply. but still, it has all the episodes on one disc.
What if the
done
fan
disc on
was
one
sued?
spool. Yeah, it's very possible. But he wasn't selling them for profit. It was
Yeah.
more like,
Right.
recouping what he got from
Yeah.
making it, which is still, that's good. That shows a love for the series.
Yeah.
Then there is more professionally made ones. Are You Afraid of the Dark and Freddy's Nightmares. Are You Afraid of the Dark has the first 4 seasons, I believe, out on DVD, official. But the last 2 never saw release. When Nick finishes releasing all of them, I probably will change it out because I love the series. It's a great series, but this one is a very professionally done set. You can tell, though, it's a bootleg from the insert there. I even wrote the little numbers on there so I know which number disc it is.
Mm-hmm.
And quality-wise, visually is really good. Freddy's Nightmares as well is done like that. Very well done. I have a copy of the original cuts of Star Wars as well, done similarly. Again, soon enough, I have a feeling Disney is going to release the original cuts of the Star Wars films, and when they do, that is going out, and the real versions will come in. But until then, I have some beautiful fan-made versions, and that's how it goes. So that's another category. Only one more, which is kind of trashy.
And I admit, I kind of wish, like you mentioned SNL. SNL is still in release limbo because of licensing issues. And, I mean, I really, really wish that the music licensing was not such a prohibitive hurdle with many things, not just variety shows. Occasionally, that will hold up anime releases.
Or YouTube.
Or YouTube releases, yes. But yeah, it's, music. I understand you want the artists to get their fair share. Unfortunately, it's probably set up more for the record companies to get their fair share. But, it would be nice if they would make an exception for like variety shows or whatever. If they would put out a Saturday Night Live collection, I would get that. As it is, I think they put out 5 seasons, and then they kind of gave up because no one wants to pay for the 80s seasons. But I don't want to have just piecemeal either. I want to have the whole series.
Yeah.
There's a lot of history in that show, and I think you can't do that on television. Were they able to do a complete release of SCTV? I can't remember.
Yes.
Okay, but that was a much shorter series overall. But yeah, a lot of these shows, it'd be really nice if you could,
Oh yeah.
But anyway, my last one is actually a show I really did want. I enjoyed the first episode. I enjoyed the premise, basically. It's about a super, super, super lucky person.
Okay, fine. That's what I was looking at. Trying to figure out.
It's about a super lucky person and the unfortunate god who basically ends up basically this person steals good fortune from other people, and this deity comes down to try to redistribute it and even things out. And it's called Good Luck Girl, Binbo Agami Ga. If I remember correctly, it features Kikuko Inoue, which is one reason why I wanted it. But the first episode was pretty fun. As you can probably tell from the title, from the cover, it was a pretty vibrant and colorful series. I think you saw this one too. Didn't we see that?
I saw the first episode.
I think we watched this and Sengoku Kagura that one of those years where we were sampling stuff. But this is one I've been wanting for a while, and I definitely was very happy to get the bonus editions here, especially because this is a really cool looking set.
That's the only one I really envy you of the 3.
But but this one I really do look forward to watching sooner or later, all the way through. And again, supposedly moderately high quality. And I don't remember the price of this one. I think it was a little more, but I was definitely willing to pay more. But I'm still almost certain that it was no more than about $27 or so. So it was still a good price for one of these sets. Yeah.
So the last class is the one that, well, most everybody who grew up in a certain time would be a part of.
Yeah.
This is probably the only type of bootlegging that's not really illegal. It's just kind of because you're not selling it, you're not distributing it, you're just keeping it. And that's the homemade one, where you make it for yourself because you taped it off a TV or you got it from other sources. So one of this is Rising Storm, which, by the way, has never had a DVD release, which is sad. It's a poignant political action film that is not shown on TV much today, at all, actually. They did a lot of post-apocalyptic films in the 80s, but this one seemed to be actually almost... imagine if Mike Pence became president. That would probably be what the future would look like. And I thought that was a very cool one, and I wanted to preserve a copy of that. So it was taped off the TV. I took the tape, I transferred it to a DVD when I had a DVD burner, and now I have a DVD copy. This one is another one that should be released on DVD, but only got a VHS release, and that is Mermaid Scar, which is part of the Rune McWorld series. And none of them got a release on DVD. Mermaid Forest, which was a retelling, got released. But this one, only on VHS. I admit I borrowed a friend's VHS and got this copied off of that. It can barely be found these days. And you want to pay, it'll cost you a pretty penny to actually get a copy of the originals. And that's just a sad thing. So those actually, again... I would love to get a higher quality copy of those. They won't even Chinese bootleg those.
These, just to give a little more context there, Rune McWorld is great. It's all over the map.
Yeah.
But it really is. It's all over the map. Some of them are lesser, some of them are greater. They're all one-shot OVAs about 45 minutes, 40 minutes. By Rumiko Takahashi, who's one of the great mangaka, and I can't remember which publisher was it. I think it was Viz actually.
Yes, Viz.
It was Viz that actually Mermaid Scar, along with the series Ranma 1/2. Those were their flagship titles for the U.S. VHS releases. Those were their flagship titles. And they are now on, I think, their 5th American release of Ranma 1/2, their first Blu-ray release. They've never yet re-released Mermaid Scar. And there was another publisher, was it Central Park Publishing, that put out Waro Hotieki, which is also called The Laughing Target, and I think Firestarter, and I think Maris the Supergirl, right? And they never, and no one here has ever released One Pound Gospel, and I think there was another one they've never released.
And One Pound Gospel also had a live action.
Yes, One Pound Gospel also has a live action release, and there are other Takahashi stuff that's never been properly released. But all of these, like Laughing Target is a wonderful, creepy, atmospheric film. Firestarter's a pretty fun movie. Maris the Supergal is less important, but it's a good 80s cheesy action film. And Mermaid Scar is one of the best horror films ever released. It is great.
Very suspenseful.
And very suspenseful and twisted and messed up and really well done. They did retell Mermaid Scar at the end of Mermaid Forest. It's a 2-part at the end of the series. The main characters, or 2 of the main characters, are the main characters of the Mermaid Forest series, and the main antagonist in Mermaid Scar only shows up in that one story. It's very good. And Mermaid Forest is out of print, but it is available in a legal, legit American copy. But it's not as good as the original. It's not as creepy. It's slicker. It just doesn't have the impact.
It's slicker.
Yeah, so it is technically one you could get. Now, I'll admit, there is one of those bootlegs that he just mentioned. Yeah, that's Mermaid Forest. There is one of those bootlegs he mentioned that I have, that I'll probably always have, for two reasons. One, it's paired with a movie that is so inappropriate that it cracks me up. And two, it will probably never see the light of day here, even though it should have. Lukas Moodysson's Lilia Forever. It's a Swedish-Russian co-production that is a wonderful, heart-shattering, great little film about a girl who gets sold into a human trafficking. And it's a wonderful film, really highly acclaimed when it came out, and it has never gotten an American release, ever. Or if it did, it was so super limited. Like, I know that our sister college had a copy in their library, so I guess maybe they released a certain version. But if it was released, it's so out of print you can't even find, you know. But between the fact that it's totally out of print, it's awesome, and when my brother burned it for me, he put it on the same disc as Studio Ghibli's Ponyo. And that's just so freakishly inappropriate that it cracks me up.
It's a sequel to Ponyo.
I have a legitimate American release of Ponyo. I don't even remember why he put Ponyo on that disc. There was no need for it.
Yeah.
I think, but whatever the case, the fact they're paired together just cracks me up. But definitely, Open Letter, we need a release of Lilia Forever. Yep. It could get a Criterion release and deserve that attention. Moodysson is a very popular director with critics. I don't know why there isn't a Criterion release, but whatever.
As far as this, if you have seen the Fantastic Four documentary, they actually talk about these bootlegs that started circulating around in the conventions, and a lot of the people who worked on the film feel like it came from within, and many of them supported the release of this because it gets a film. These actors actually deserve to have their work seen. And at that point, so long as you're buying it from a legit source or another fan, I still don't like to say that bootlegging is a good thing. I think bootlegging is a terrible thing. So we need legit releases.
Yes.
Matter of fact, you probably will see in the videos eventually those three that I actually do feel are the illegitimate ones will get replaced. And if I do find a Sailor Moon one, those two will get replaced. And Sailor Stars.
Yeah.
And I used to have a ton of them in my collection at one point when I was really poor, but I have replaced almost all of them.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show you, legit releases, those of us who really love the art, we will support the art.
Yeah.
Whether you want us to or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, we both, we jumped on the opportunity to support the Skip Beat release. And I admit, if Pied Piper or another company like it puts up Kamikaze Kaito-Jan, I will back it. Yep. If they put up Mermaid Scar or a total Rumic World one,
I would love to
hell yeah, I will back it. If they put up a Cheeky Angel or Sayonara Zetsubou Sensei or one of these, I will back it. And if if they want to do a Kickstarter for Lilia Forever, I will back it. These are definitely, I am more than willing to do it.
Oh, yes.
And I've been backing the Sailor Moon, but not as much as he has, because I don't have the budget he has, and Viz is charging a lot. It's a big series. They're putting each season out in 2 parts. So I'm trying to do it, but I am slowly but surely. Yes.
Which are legit, as you can see. I am purchasing them, and I have the entire series on its original release, except for the Pioneer of season 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So, in any case, we're gonna move on forward.
Yep.
But
onward.
In the comments, what is it that you would feel are reasons to go ahead and get a bootleg of a particular film or series, or do you feel like no, there's no excuse if they don't release it on physical media, then it's meant never to be seen?
And let's get a petition going for some titles that need to get released.
Yeah, exactly. You could put in some, like, what your favorite title is that you would love enough to either get a bootleg or say, I will hold my breath for release.
Well, let's just say what you want to see released that has not been. Yeah.
So,
right.
With that, we will see you on the next one.